I'm retired Battalion Chief Larry Cockman from the Greensboro, North Carolina Fire Department History Book Committee. We're here today at the Greensboro Historical Museum. I'm standing in front of the General Greene, the first steam pumper, or as they called it back then, the steamer. Today, December 9th, 2019, we are starting a new tradition of recording and preserving the heritage and culture of our retirees. Our retirees have contributed so much to the success of our great fire department. Their stories retire with them and are sometimes gone forever when they pass away. They will share their emergency calls that will always be a part of their memories forever. So sit back and listen as they carry us through their journey in the Greensboro Fire Department.
My name is Ray K. Flowers. K, I have told a whole lot of people what the K stands for, but that's all right. Okay. That's part of the name, so I just gave it to you. Ray was chief of the fire department when I retired.
Okay.
I was a member of the Greensboro Fire Department for 38 years, and I made fire chief in I think it was 1992. And served as chief until I retired. I became fire chief in 1992. It was right at Chief Jones' retirement. It might have been 93, 92 or 93 that time.
You started
I came to Greensboro to go to school at A&T. So when I finished A&T, I became part of the fire department in 1961. I was came on with the first class of African American firefighters for the city of Greensboro. It was 28. It was 28 at Station 4. They built Station 4 new for us to come on and housed in our own neighborhood. So it was a good experience and also a time that we enjoyed very much. Wadesboro, North Carolina, a little town 100 miles due south of Greensboro. As a matter of fact, it's just immediately above the South Carolina line. So I enjoyed that little town and went to high school there, became friends with a lot of people that played sports, both in Wadesboro High, which was white, and the ACTS, which the school I was a member of. We became the school that finished first in football and basketball the last 2 years. So we had a great class of sports people. Now we got maybe about 6 or 7, and maybe even less than that now. Last time I looked, it was around 6 or 7. Most of them I don't stay in contact with that much now. Most of the ones that I knew and stayed in close contact with are passed on.
Okay.
I've got one of the people that is on my street, and I don't even see him often anymore. Well, when I look at the positions firefighter. I came from a community where black people didn't get involved in that, were not involved in that field very much. And when I came to Greensboro and had an opportunity to try out for the fire department because it was an ad in the paper that asked for black people to come and apply. I thought I would go and apply because I had finished a field where I had planned to spend my life in. And I needed money to get together for my tools and other things that was necessary for the field. And I was looking for a job that I could just enjoy. And fire department was a different thing than I had ever had a chance to be a part of. So I tried out for the Greensboro Fire Department and was hired and was pleased at that. I knew one or two guys after we got hired. I think after I got there, I became friends with a whole group of guys. And one of the guys that I think I was very close friends with was a guy that got killed shortly after we came on. He got killed in a Volkswagen not far from his house. He was a member of the class. And we all were young, about the same age. And I think the whole class was interested in being some aggressive, show some aggressiveness towards the kind of training that we were doing. And most of us liked the training. And our instructor was R.L. Powell. And Powell always tried to put a little fun in the game by making it competitive, whatever we were doing. And I remember making a statement one day, you know, all of these things that he's talking about, you know, I'm a young man, I'm only about 21, and he got to be about 40 or 50. Ain't no way in the world I'm gonna let him beat me on some of this stuff. And I think he heard it, and then he did really make a game out of it. Every time he would do it, he would make sure I did it, and did it close to like he did it. I never forget telling him one day, I can do it. I might be able to do it like you do it, but I can do it, those things. And R.L. was, he was pretty spry. He could use, he was very petite. He could take his body, he could use, do all those things that he was doing with his body, using his body, like he lift up on the windowsill and stick a leg through or some old stuff like that. But, you know, I never tried to do anything like that, so no, it wasn't easy for me to do. But then the things that we did do, I did enjoy them. I remember once, things that we did, we used to jump in the net. And from the first floor, it was easy. But the difference between one floor and two floors makes all the difference in the world. You stand up in that window in the second window, and you know, you think about that thing before you jump out. But you know, the one thing that I realized was the longer you stand there, the worse it got, you know. So we had fun with some of those things, as well as they were being very competitive and trying to do them like they were supposed. Our training class was 3.5 months, something like that. We started in September, and we went in the building in November, I believe it was. And middle of November, we were answering phone calls. So about that time, I remember right now. But
Okay.
yeah, I can remember one thing that was very funny. When we started climbing the Pump Hill ladder. I say that I wasn't funny at all. Because you scaled the outside of the building, and you would go over the top on the top of the building. And I remember one of the individuals was going over the top, and the ladder slid out to the side. Well, that person, I can't remember exactly who the person was, but I remember it was a big man. And he finally got over the top of that thing. And then when you get on the top, you have to get back on the ladder and go back down. Now, going down was a whole lot more serious than coming up because it was more difficult. And I remember when I did that, when I went over the top, and I got back on that ladder, and I never really got comfortable until I got in the first window. After I got in the first window, it was all right.
Okay.
but that was a difficult thing to do. It wasn't funny, but you find yourself laughing.
Yeah.
You're laughing because you couldn't cry. I had a cousin that came on right along close to the time I came on. I really didn't realize he was even trying out. I guess a lot of people wrote letters to become part. But yeah, he was the first cousin of mine, and we were on a short while. And then after he came on, he went back into the military.
Okay.
And when he went back into the military, I think they were given a bonus for them to re-up. So we wasn't that long, it was just a short while. Well, I really wasn't thinking about the fire department. Working two jobs. I graduated from A&T, and when I graduated from A&T, I graduated in electronics. I wanted to be a lifetime. I guess I couldn't call it a lifetime. From the time I started working, when I was about 13 or 14 years old, I was working with a fella who was putting up TVs, and he would work on them a little bit. And I started working at the drugstore. It was a drugstore in Waynesboro where we were working on TVs in the basement. And they let me assistant, helping, go out, put up radio, and radio and TV was pretty popular back in that day. And I learned to work on them a little bit when I was, before I became of age. And I came to A&T to graduate in that field to where I could go into that business. And when I graduated from A&T, I had the basic knowledge, but I didn't have a lot of tools. You have to have the right tools to work on those kinds of things. And I wanted to purchase tools and get myself situated to where I could open my own business. I already had a place back in Waynesboro where I could do that. And all I needed was the tools and and my my father wanted to, when he retired, he wanted to work in the refrigeration. Wanted to sell refrigerators and do the work on refrigerators and that kind of thing. I wanted to just do the television, radios and TVs and that kind of thing. And when I had an opportunity to get the job at the fire department, I thought I would get all of my tools together and eventually move towards that kind of work. And I was really interested in that work, but after working for the fire department about 5 years, I enjoyed it so much that I thought that I wanted to keep doing that rather than. It's around $400 a month, a little less than $400 a month. I can't tell you exactly how much it was, but it was plenty. It was more than I was making working in 2 jobs. So I was able to do what I needed to do on that. Well, the biggest thing that stood out in training as far as I was concerned was I enjoyed the training, and there were a lot of young guys out there that enjoyed doing most of the things that we were doing. I know we used to go down to the training tower at lunchtime and see who could climb the rope so far up, and first one to get back down. They would win a dime to get a soda. And if you wanted to be competitive with somebody, you would have to do climb the rope hand over hand, get up to, and I think they had to go up to the first floor. It might have been the second floor, and I'm not sure. But you had to climb it hand over hand, but you could slide back down. And we had some big boys in our class, and I would always choose the big boys. But I remember a guy by the name of Eddie Coleman. I'll tell his name. And Eddie was big. He weighed a whole lot more than I. And he was always trying to beat me up and down because he wanted to make sure that he would get my. I said, no, you won't get my money. And we would do it every day for a while. And but there were some other guys on there that was pretty big too, and those guys would surprise you. There was a guy on there named Leo Codwell. Leo was big, he was huge, but he couldn't climb that rope all the way because at some point it would give away. Strength in his hands could not hold that rope on that rope, but he could climb it.
Wow.
He'd surprise you. Well, after we got out of training and started responding to fire calls in our community, I know there was a lot of talk about when we came out of training. We were the first class that actually had organized training, and the whole class was trained at the same time. Most of the people before we came went to training. They would go to training. They would come on the fire department and work on the fire department for years, and then they might go out there for a little training, that kind of thing. But our class was the first organized class, and there was some talk that since we had the training, that our class was better suited for doing the kind of things that the fire department should be doing. And I can get into some of that. We were trained that you don't open the front door and open the back door and wash it all out the back door. You know, in other words, we were trained to go in the house, find the fire, eliminate the fire, and then come on out. So I think that a lot of the training that we worked on was good for the fire department, because I think eventually it all went throughout the department. And I think that some of the people may have felt that our class, even though I don't think we were better than the others, I think that we just learned it different than the others, and I think everyone eventually got the same. It was Station 4. That was the Station 4 was relocated from the original place it was, because Station 4 was over up on Ashborough Street, I think it was, and then it was located to Gall Street, and then they built the station for us then. My first captain, this guy, I think it was Brown. No. Captain Brown, I think it was. I went to Station 7 to get my first captain. We didn't have captains at Station 4. We had leaders. And when we first went into service, a leader, 4 people were elected as leaders. And they were people that, in most cases, were people that had the higher grades in training. And they also were selected not only for the grade work, but for those that were good leaders, good managers, and those kinds of things. Drivers were selected because of their ability to drive and handle the truck, and knowledge. I know when I came to Greensboro, they thought that I would be a good driver, but I didn't have no knowledge of Greensboro. I knew one street, was Gall Street, and I had to learn all the streets. So we had a chance to work on that stuff together when we got 4, and all of us that went through the training had an opportunity to try, because we had to teach at Station 4, and those people that thought they were better instructors than others had a chance to teach. Now, the leaders were all good leaders. They were good leaders. The problem that we had were all of us knew the information about the same, so as we would work through it, one person might have remembered one part of something that the others did. We would all get together and work on it together. So we had a chance to learn and work together, and I think that was as important to us, working together with that conception that we use, that made us a little bit better at what we did. I think after about 5 or 6 years, we started meeting together as firefighters, and one of the, I guess it was a union leader, I assume, I can't remember exactly, but I think it was the union leaders, the one at least presented the idea to us about integration. Now, I was interested in that because integration was something that could be something real good for the department. That's the way I thought of it. And it could be good for the people at 4. Now, everybody didn't agree with me, and a lot of them told me that they didn't agree with it because they felt like they had an opportunity to make a position while they were there. But the problem was, it took 10 years to work in the fire department before you had the ability to even take the test. And so I told them that my idea was the opportunity to work and serve Greensboro, because if you were through integration, if you had the opportunity to work in any station, which meant that you had more opportunity. And the other thing was, you had the opportunity to work for more than one position. And I told them that you needed to be more, we all needed to be more thoughtful about what we want to do if we want to be a part of that. And when we worked together and talked about it much longer, integration became the theme. And I thought that it made all of us, my opinion, it made all of us more able to work together, and we became more friendly, and I thought that we all became, the idea became more apparent as we worked and talked about it. But then the thought, it was good not only for us, it was good for the white firemen too, because there was there 4 jobs immediately for somebody. And I thought that was the key for most white firefighters, especially those that were looking to become captains, because that was an immediate promotion that would be beneficial. Oh, it wasn't red. The fire was red. Most of us at the time thought about getting rid of the emergency first. Now, there were some people that may have had other reasons, and I think that most problems that occurred with us became personal with people, and they dealt in personal personalities rather than what the major personalities were. I think that me personally, I really didn't have a problem with people. I always felt that, and if I was with people that cared about people, then I would be okay. And most of the people that I worked with in the fire department usually didn't have a problem as far as people were concerned. Now, there were some that had personal reasons why they wanted to be what they were and why they were. I understood that everybody was different, but we all had to work in the department. That was a common goal. Everybody had to have a goal to want to be a part of that, because the city had policies, and the policies were good for them all. And I used to talk to people a little bit about that, even before I became an officer. You know, this may not be the place you want to be, because you have got to live according to the goals of the city of Greensboro if you want to be a part of it. And if you want to be a part of it, then you can, if you can understand and work by those goals, I think you'd be right here. So I think that was good for me, and I think it was good for most. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I know when we were meeting together, it was a good thing. I thought that it was good for all of us. Mm-hmm. The union did not really seem like a union. We were just working for some common goals. Now, as long as we were working for those common goals, I was willing to do that. And I felt like once we accomplished the goals that we were working for, I thought that it came to a good end. But I do recall those folks that were leading the union, they seemed to be people that were willing to work for the good of all. So I thought that was good.
Good.
First fire call that I remember, when we got to Station 4, we went on a house fire. And I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was in our area. And I remember the call, first 2 or 3 calls we went on. One of the calls, and I think this was the first one, I'm not sure, people had a clothesline hanging in the backyard. And one of the guys ran into the clothesline, and I think it cut him on the face a little bit. And one of the firefighters, ran into it and cut him on the face a little bit. And I don't remember exactly who that was, but it was one of the members of the group there. And we did get very excited. Now I know you're not supposed to get excited, and but when we were going, the horn was blowing, and siren was going, adrenaline started working, and that's why the boy ran into the clothesline, because he jumped off the truck and ran around the back, and I think he was one of the leaders. That's what I think it was.
About that?
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah, we helped him a little bit.
That's okay.
When we were at 4, we would answer 5 or 6 calls a day, maybe more, and 2 or 3, over half of them would always be real fire, like during that time. So we had some working fires to deal with, and after a short period of time, we had experience that we could depend on to help us trying to deal with the rest of the thing. Getting there, we would had to know the territory a little bit, and we would get together. We work with each other, trying to make sure we have the right place to go, and we would usually my first driver was Harold Coble. He was from not far from Greensboro, and he knew the city pretty good, and he knew the territory pretty good. So he was pretty good, and So we always worked to help each other where we could. And getting there was the number one option. And I think the second option was just to make sure that we did what was necessary. And I don't think there was anybody there that couldn't be helped some. And then after a while, it became much better. After a while, it became easier. And the thing that we enjoyed about it was the part that was helping people. And the helping people's part was the part that got me to want to be a part of the fire department much longer. And I think that was the thing that won out over me leaving and going to do something different. Many calls were very effective, I think. I know children, anytime I went to a fire call where there were children involved, that always affected me more than others. And I can recall going to a fire call where one that stands out even today was a mother that was standing over a baby's bed trying to protect the baby. I remember that from probably my days back at early 7. I remember a couple of them right now. It was a great big old warehouse. I can't remember the name of the warehouse. It was downtown, Worth Chemical. That's what it was. It had, I was at Station 4 then, and we went down there and Station 4 responded to about everything in the city, really. That they responded to sucking in on a lot of those calls. But that particular place had 55-gallon drums that was on the floor of that warehouse. Every now and then they would shoot up in the air, and they would go up there so far and they would explode.
Wow.
And I don't think anybody that saw that would forget it, and I sure didn't. Now, I was fortunate on a lot of that because I'd be driving a lot of time, and when you're driving, you don't have to go down there to it. But then sometimes you think you might be better off to be down there because the drums is exploding and go anywhere. But anyway, kind of long story short, we went down there, and the chief led us up on the second platform, up on a platform where we got our nozzles, and we would direct water down on the fire from above. And those things were still shooting off with all that water going in there. And that told me water wouldn't, I don't think it told me anything then, but I was in a bad place. But as I thought about that after the time, water probably should have been used on that.
Right.
And when I got outside, I never will forget, I heard somebody talking about, it was a little old cloud that was down near the ground, right on the outside of that building. I saw it. That was after the cloud left, everything was dark around the bottom of it. Well, I looked at a lot of people that I thought that were mentors, but people that I wanted to be like. I kind of took some personal reference to that. It was kind of hard to find somebody that I really wanted to follow. There were people that I saw that I liked to take parts of their career and put them in my back, like so I could use them to do certain things by. So I would say that I would like to look at several people, because I thought that most of the people in Greensboro that was in the Greensboro Fire Department done something good. Now, that I didn't think everything they did was good, but I thought that a lot that they did was good. So, if I had to do that, I would take several. No one in particular that I thought that I wanted to form my life after, but I saw some good in everybody that I like to take a little bit of. Well, you know, I had a lot of things to be proud of, because I was one that came from segregation to integration in the fire department, and I thought that was a good moment. And then I also came from the tailboard to the back, from the back of the department, all the way to the top of the department. I thought that was a good thing. I looked at a lot of things that we as a whole done together in the fire department that made the fire department better than it was before. I thought that was a good thing to be proud of. But I think the proudest thing that I've done was try to make sure that all of the things that I've put before me in my life to do, I think I got most of them done. And I had most of them done, not only me, myself, and but I did them through a lot of people. A lot of people were a part of it. And I think that the proudest moment in my life came when, at the end, those things were completed with the help of a lot of people that call themselves friends. And I thought that was my proudest moment. I think it was worth it. And not only do I think it was worth it, I think that a lot of people made Greensboro better than it's ever been before. When we had the Greensboro became one of the departments I felt like was one of the best in the world. I think it was something to sit back and be proud of. Well, you know, I felt like the one thing that prepared me for it was a life of going through what my parents had me to go through to make sure that I was a person that really believed in God and tried to deal with deal with people in the way that I think that we both could learn to live, not only to care about one another, but also be able to live in this world together. So I felt like when I became an officer within the fire department, that I could sit down and talk with people. I could talk to them about their life and try to deal with them in a way that I could help them. And I also left that door open because I also grew too. You never get so high that you can't get over the smallest stump. So I felt like when I sat down and talked with people about their lives, I tried to be honest and sincere, and I tried to make sure that I did the best for them that I could do. So I felt when my life was ready, when I was ready, when I got to that point in my life, I can say it that way and just leave it. Faith, if I hadn't had the faith I had, I don't think I could have done as good as I think that things came out, because I felt comfortable with sitting down and talking to anybody. Faith was the part that I played, I think that I played most. But, you know, I felt that our department was a brother's department, basically. So it always hurts you most when you lose a friend. And it always hurt really bad when you lose one of the firefighters. So my faith is what keeps me going when I deal with stuff like that.
See, I
would do it all over again
Okay.
because, I love the department. I used to tell my wife, I said, it's kind of hard to know the difference between loving you and loving the department. I said, I know you are my main squeeze, but the department, I think I love it just almost as much.
Feel you, Pat.
I really love the departments, and I felt that I never worked a day in my life that I didn't enjoy something about it. Well, the fire service changed. I think it changes a little bit every few years or so. Like I said, different. Fire department changes all the time, but there were major changes probably every few years. I think the one thing that changes and makes changes in the fire department is critical dealing with youth. You have to be, that's a young person's department. And the older you get, the more out of step you become. But you don't realize it because you don't realize probably you're getting older too. But the department has to keep up with them. It's a stiff mandate that deals with making sure that they can do the job. And I think it's important. One of the things we tried to deal with, we didn't deal with it as much as we should, is doing the exercise and all that kind of stuff in the department to where people can keep their livelihood a little longer. And people didn't realize how important it was. I tried to walk or do a little exercise almost every day so I could kind of keep going. And as I got to be older, I couldn't exercise enough. That's the reason why I felt like that I couldn't keep up with this, the youthfulness. And the older people get, the slower they get, but the department don't stop. It keeps on going with the same pace. I was a member of all of the fire chief organizations, but I had personal organizations that I was also a part of. Sonic organizations. I was the professional organizations in the fire department. I was part of some of those. I was involved in organizations that help raise money to help people and a whole lot of other things. So I had a bunch of them. Well, my wife was always part of my life, and she was part of my fire department life. So she played an intricate part in everything that I did. Louise and I were together in everything. So when I became the fire chief, I called her my chief. Well, she was really, I always tried to give her an opportunity to be a part of everything I want anyway. So she was just an integral part of my life and my fire department life. Health was good until my wife passed away. And I think that took a corner off my life. But I'm still doing fairly well. Over the last year, I've had a couple hospitalizations, but I'm still kicking.
Mike?
You know, I could always sit here and talk from now until doomsday probably about pieces of the fire department. And I enjoyed all of it. There were some things that I didn't think were good. There were some things I thought was great. but all of it is balled up in my life within the fire department itself. I met some of the greatest people I've ever worked with in the world in the fire department. And I enjoyed the people that I work with and consider all of them my friends. I don't think there is anything that I did within the fire department that I didn't enjoy some. I felt that I've had some good times, I've had some bad times. Most of the good times were when good things happen. And I can always talk about when I first started the fire department. There were some anxious times, but there were some other times that were even good times. When I went through those years at Station 4, out of all of that, I felt that I enjoyed Station 4 more than I should have, because at Station 4 was where I got my beginning. I learned more, I guess, at Station 4, because when I came to Station 4, I didn't know nothing about the fire department. But that's where the beginning came. And I can base most of my learning on what I learned while I was there. But then I look at what I had the opportunity to learn in the other stations that I've been a part of. I worked with some chiefs that I used to drive for at night, and we'd go out on a fire call, and the chief would be talking to me about something, and when I see that fire, my mind would go blank, and I would work with the other company while I was there. And when we got in the car to go back to the fire station, there was one chief that would say, and he started right back where he left off. He would not even go back and talk about what he was talking about. And I ride from the fire station, from the fire scene to the fire station, thinking, what in the world that man talking about? And you know, in life is just, I remember one fire chief used to sit out back of the fire station and ask me a question. He said, Flowers, you see that bird pitch that tree? And I said that, I wondered, I said, is he crazy? He's talking about pitching a tree. But colloquialism is all what it's about. Everybody had a beginning somewhere, and what they learned was at their beginning. And that's what I'm talking about as far as my life in the fire service is concerned. I had a beginning, and I enjoyed that beginning. And when I came to the end of my service, I walked out and said goodbye in one of the greatest closings that I could have had, my celebration for leaving. I count that as one of the greatest that I've had. And I've had so much good in the fire department, I can't tell it all. So right at this time, right now, I've told you about everything I know to tell you. And if there's, I can tell you stories about some stuff. And if you can't understand the stories, I can take you to a place where I can show you some of it. But that's all I got. Well, first thing I would think about, or the first thing I would tell them was that Greensboro Fire Department is a kind of company that they can get a great deal of good out of for themselves, and they can learn basically jobs that could be a job for life. And I recall when I became a recruit, I never thought that I would stay here for 30 years. When they asked me, when they told me about that, the only thing I thought about was my job is a job that I can work with people, but I'm going to go do my thing that I went to school for. So I didn't think about life, but after I stayed here, my life was more enjoyable than I could think. And it was all about helping people. And I've always enjoyed helping people, but in Greensboro, in the Greensboro Fire Department, your life is all wrapped up into helping people. Everybody you work with and people that you don't know. That's what it's all about. So I think the recruits, if they don't know that, they should know it, that this is about helping people. It's not just a job, it's about helping people. And that's what I got out of my life.
We hope you enjoyed watching these documentaries. It was our goal to share and preserve the memories of our retired Greensboro firefighters. It is our desire that these documentaries will inspire future generations to continue the brotherhood, sisterhood, and camaraderie while always striving for excellence in their careers. While fire apparatus, equipment, and technology have improved, several things will always remain the same. The courage and bravery it takes to mitigate natural and man-made disasters will always be a part of the job. Although our retirees are no longer a physical part of the GFD world, a giant piece of each retiree's memories have been shared with you today. These memories will be in their hearts and minds forever. A special thank you goes out to Captain Harold Haney for his many long hours of recording and editing. Thank you, Harold. A job well done.